Representative Brown about the constitutional carry legislation.
Okay, good.
She's got it holed up in committee, doesn't she, Brown?
Yeah. I get these emails from, it's like the legislative action arm of the National Rifle Association. And they'll send you the email and they'll have the links right to their emails and phone numbers and stuff if you want to call them or whatever. They make it real easy for you. So
I get them too, and I don't know, I don't understand why.
you've signed up at some point in the past, you know. You clicked on one of those little spots whenever you answered a question or something, and they said, "Man, Thomas is ours forever."
It must be somebody else's mailing list.
Well, I'm hoping that one of these will move forward. I've not been tuned in that much to these bills or what they do. I know the senator that's right like next door to where I live in the next district over, who is Dale Parrish's senator. She's the one that put a stop to it last time, and I think it was because of pushback from like the Sheriff's Association or the Chiefs of Police or something. Do you know more about it, Larry?
Well, I only do because Marty Wood and I probably talked a half an hour today on the phone, and he would like to have Liz Brown tarred, feathered, and run out of town on a rail. I guess I don't know her.
She is the senator, by the way. Yeah.
She's a senator. I know she is a convention of state supporter, but he doesn't have much high regard for her. She's a little tyrant, according to him. But what stopped it last year, apparently, was not the Sheriff's Association. They're 100% for it. It's the state police that are against it. And according to Marty, this year, there was a state police testimony, I don't know, an officer or somebody from the state police. He couldn't answer a question that they put to him, and he was an embarrassment. And still, she's holding it up in the committee and won't let it get to the floor for a vote. Won't even let it get really out of committee for even testimony.
Yeah, she wouldn't even allow it to be amended by the guy who wrote the bill.
That's right, and that was. I'm glad you brought that up, Dale. That's what Marty told me today. He said she alone, and he doesn't know how she has this authority, said there will be no amendments to this bill, and she's talking to the author of the bill.
Yeah, that's the thing that we talked a little bit about on the roundtable, about how much power committee chairmen have. And if a committee chair decides to rat hole some bill, it's not going to see the light of day. And last year, we thought this thing was going to sail through, and then it hit a brick wall with Liz Brown, and nobody at that time really knew the details about why. But I think we know now about as Larry mentioned here, about the state police. So
yeah, it had to do with felons. Felons were somehow, according to the state police, requesting permission for firearms, and they couldn't really answer as to why or how that would happen, because a felon by law have a weapon. So it didn't make sense.
So it may be that come next election cycle, why she'll become a target because of that. I can't say what's going to happen with that, but that's, that is ultimately how, when we were trying to pass the COS resolution in some states, if you had a committee chair somewhere that was holding up the works, ultimately you may have to go to that resolution to try to get that person out of office and get somebody in that's favorable. So,
well, I would think we would want to attack it from the other avenue. Why should a committee chairman be allowed to do that for any bill?
Yeah,
every bill ought to be able to see the light of day. And if they have too many bills, well, that's their problem. They should probably, when the session starts, say, we're only going to address 20 bills this session. That's all we're going to do. We can't do 800 in the House and 817 in the Senate. Right now, they have 3,260. I'm sorry. Well, they have 800 in one chamber and 817 in the other.
Right.
1,600 bills in 2 months.
Right. Well, that's why this is a short session. In a long session, there are typically more than 1,000 bills that are introduced, and there won't be, 1% of those that probably get passed. So that's just the nature of the legislative process, that everybody that's got a pet bill will try to get it in there and hope they can make something happen.
Yeah, but how did we ever get to the point where they decide that they're in a given year they're only going to work for 30 days?
I think that's in the state constitution. And honestly,
That's silly, isn't it?
What's that?
That just seems like that's silliness to me.
Well, the alternative is that the legislatures try to get lobby to become year-round legislators, and everybody tells me that's the worst thing you could possibly do, because then they disconnect from the real world, and they just states that have full-time legislatures typically pass a lot more laws, but they also, do a lot more things that we probably don't want done. So it's kind of a conundrum.
Are they allowed to, do they do one bill at a time, or do they do like the Congress and put these Frankenstein bills together that has 1,000 pages? Can they do that?
Well, I don't think they do that in the state legislature. What happens is bills are introduced, and it's my understanding that the ones that they want to move forward, they will assign to a committee. And then if they get pressure maybe to assign it to a committee, but the leadership really doesn't want it to go anywhere, they assign it to a committee where the committee chair is just going to kill it. And on the roundtable, there's a little bit of discussion about that, about changing the rules so that the committee chairman and the speaker do not have so much power, because, that's a problem. And this is one of the things that Convention of States, I think, will come out of it, if it gets to, when we get to that stage, is a bill that will say that Congress, no bill can address more than one topic.
Yes.
Or allocate funds for more than one department of government. That's how you do away with these omnibus bills.
Yes.
That, just
you can't read. You can never read in your lifetime.
Right. That nobody can ever read. And because they fund the entire government, you can't really, nobody's really being held accountable to vote for a particular bill. It's just, we're going to fund the government, the whole government, and we're going to add these extra riders on, and either you vote for it or we're going to shut the government down. And that is a criminal way to run a government, as far as I'm concerned.
It is.
I think we should have roll call votes on all of them too.
I have an amendment for that.
Yeah.
We'll know how your representative or your senator voted on any given bill.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Every bill, every single bill. Yeah.
And you have to understand that your legislators too can play little games, like they'll vote for it in one time in committee, and then they run home to their constituents and say, "Oh, I supported that bill," but the next time it came up for a vote later on, they voted against it. And so,
but it was not a roll call vote.
Right. You need to have ways for real accountability, and that's one of the things that's missing in government.
Yeah.
Thomas, do you have another?
Yes. My plan.
Should you be elected?
Besides that, my plan is that bills would be introduced. I don't care if you're introduced in the State House or introduced in Congress of the United States. Bills would be introduced onto social media platform. The way they're supposed to be passed, 30 days before they're introduced into the House. So everybody knows what those bills say. And if if a constituent decides that they don't like what is being said, they can get a hold of their Congress, their representative,
Mm-hmm.
either the senator or this is what I don't like about it. I also had this one amendment saying there would be no amendments to bills. Let's move it right along. If it can't stand by itself, go rewrite it.
Yeah. Get rid of it and start over.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's just my train of thought.
That's
And sometimes it gets derailed.
for sure. Well, I want to keep this short tonight. On the agenda, just want to mention that the servant leadership now, who all is either in that or scheduled to take one?
I'm in it now.
Scheduled.
Scheduled,
I'm finished.
right. And Larry, you're scheduled.
Yes.
Vicky, you're in it, right?
Yeah.
You and Thomas and Cheryl. Okay. Okay, good. Mike, I remind me to ask you about, or to tell you about how to get into one of these. Was kind of cutting you a little slack until you get till you're back to 100% of fighting weight and all, and then we can talk about that. But one of the things Dale would like to do is have all of us get through that. Dale and I have been through it, and actually Dale Parrish is in a class right now, and want to get everybody through that. And part of it is just get everybody on the same page. As time goes on, we'd like you to get all your district captains to go through that class as well.
Which one is it?
That's the servant leadership class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's run out of COS National, but they put you in a small class with about 5 to 10 other people. And there's a small book to read. It's called Servant Leadership. It's by a former guy who was in the military, and he approaches the servant leadership from a particular aspect. There's probably half a dozen books on Amazon that are all titled Servant Leadership, but this is the only one that we utilize. So anyway.
Jenny Rapini scheduled me.
Right. Yeah. Jenny sets up the schedule for all of those. So if you have a district captain that you want to get through that, you can ask Jenny to do that. Larry, have you had any luck reaching Liana Kriebel?
Well, to be truthful, I haven't tried.
Okay.
I did talk with Rich Jeffries today and Greg Coleman, but I have not called Liana.
Okay.
I'll make a note and do that.
If you want to try, I think George is trying reaching out to her, and I reached out to her, and she, that asked her to get on to Citizen Builder a couple of weeks ago, and she did that, but I still haven't actually talked to her. So hoping to, keep her active.
Yeah, it sounded like she had lost interest the last time I talked to her. She also had she had been ill for a couple of weeks, and so.
Okay.
Just a question: how are you guys doing in getting your district captains to report activity on that COS Action app?
Speakers.
There are
Enough said.
okay. Yeah. There are a few of the district captains that are frequently, and actually I think Gloria Marino is one of them that she's pretty regular about that, because I get an email from each of the reports people file. There are a number of people that are doing it, and it's just, keep plugging away on that.
Now, we talked about that, Gary, and I've never been notified anytime anybody does anything.
Call me tomorrow, and let's see if we can walk through how to make that happen. because there's a way for you to get on the list, I think, to get the message when anybody in your region files a report on the phone app.
Yeah, that would be really helpful because there's oftentimes I may have a meeting with somebody, and so I can post it, that we met.
Mhm.
But then if I don't see anything where they've posted, I can at least remind them.
Yeah. I can't recall right now off the top of my head how to do it, but I will take a look at that tomorrow. And if I can, I'll sign it up so that all of you get those reports for the people in your region. Or if not, you might have to initiate it. But maybe if I go through it with Dale, while I can write the steps down, and then we can do it for each of you. But it is helpful to see, because I'll get the email. It'll say, this person, attended a national training, or had a call with a district captain, or whatever it might have been.
Events app you're talking about?
I'm sorry, Vicki.
Is that the events app you're talking about, or?
It's the COS Action app on your phone, and it's to when you make a report of an activity. There's a way to use that to file a report. So if you have a training call that you initiate with somebody you're training, you can file a report through your phone. You can do a report if you attend a national training, a Tuesday night call, or the state call, or anything like that. You can file a report on your phone, and then those reports interconnect with Citizen Builder so that those reports go there. And then at the end of the month, you can take that to the Mission Excellence Plan, or the district captain can, and read the reports they filed and file them right into the new Mission Excellence Plan. It's very similar to the action reports in the phone app. So anyway, if you guys would keep working on the LMT, if you got volunteers and district captain, any applicants in there, be sure to reach out to them. Also, take a look at there's still over 100 volunteer activists that are assigned in the state of Indiana. Go through those, any of them that are in your region, and see if you can connect with them. If they really want to be active, get them some assignments, things to do, have them download the phone app, if nothing else, and become a Telepatriot volunteer. Get them active, doing some things. And if they don't want to be active anymore, then we should unassign them as a volunteer activist. And also, everybody that's a volunteer activist, try to invite them to Slack. If they were not previously invited, invite them into Slack, and encourage them to check that general channel every day, and the events channel, so they know what's going on around the state and what things they can be involved in. If you have volunteer activists, also encourage them to go, and your district captains to go to the mark their calendar to go to the state surge on February the 10th, if they can make it. The surge, I think, is scheduled from 9 to 3. You don't have to be there that long. If they can be there from 10 to noon and meet with their legislator, that's a good thing. The longer they can stay, more opportunity to interact with other activists and volunteers and get acquainted with people, which is good. But they don't have to be able to be there from 9 to 3 or 9 to 2, whatever the schedule says, in order to go. But one of the goals that Marty has is to have 5 people from every region. I don't know
we should
that
be able
we'll
to do that.
accomplish that, but if you can get even 1 or 2 from your region, or 3 or 4, that'd be great. You can carpool together and go to the state house, and good opportunity to kind of spend some time with each other, and have lunch together and things like that. Also, you can look through Slack in the general channel, and if you see a name of somebody in there that you know is no longer active with Convention Estates, let George know, and we need to take them out of Slack so that they, can't access it. People who've been unassigned from any role with Convention Estates. Everybody that's a volunteer activist or a district captain should be on Slack, but people who don't have any assigned role should be taken out of Slack so that they can't get into it. That's pretty much all I've got for tonight. Anybody have any other questions, comments, things you want to talk about?
I've got one thing. Carla Bohr got a hold of me. She was a volunteer activist of mine. Her and her husband just went to Florida for the winter, so I don't know. They went late. How do you feel about keeping someone like that on that's going to be going to Florida for the winter?
Well, do they expect to be involved when they get back?
Yes.
I would keep her assigned, keep her active.
Okay.
Yeah. And if she tunes into Slack, once in a while, she can kind of see what's going on, and you can also direct message her in Slack. So it's a good way to keep in contact with them, and keep them assigned, even if they're going to be gone to Florida for a few weeks or months.
Gary, do you have any idea when COS will recognize the new redistricting lines in the district dashboard?
I wish I knew the answer to that question. I have asked it repeatedly, and the only answer I get is that they get that from something called Voter Voice. And when Voter Voice updates the district lines, that's when it's going to happen. But they haven't said it'll be this month, it'll be in 6 months. So I wish I could tell you, but I don't know. I will ask that question again. I've asked multiple times already, but maybe they'll get tired of me asking at some point and give me a better answer. But right now, the answer is no. We don't know.
Gary, have they talked about? And you probably covered this before I got in the meeting, but the legislative priorities for Convention Estates that they intend to push?
The only one I know for sure is that there's one of the bills that relates to kind of Second Amendment license, doing away with the license carry handgun. And that's a carryover from last year.
Constitutional carry.
Constitutional carry, yeah.
Constitutional carry. That is a carryover. And so we know that they will allow us to, that's something we are officially promoting. The bills relating to mandates, like mask mandates, vax mandates, bills related to limiting the governor's ability to have an open-ended thing. Those are some things we've had people testify on them, but to my knowledge, we've not gotten word from National that those are approved yet. So when people, go before the legislature, they can't really say this is something that Convention of States is supporting if we don't have word from National.
Yeah.
I got a little more of an insight there. That's my understanding that National, it's not so much that they want to be able to say yes or no as to what we can and can't promote officially, but they want to know exactly what we're doing, and they want to know like who the sponsor of the bill is, if it's a bill that's likely to pass, if it's seen as something likely to pass. Part of the reason is they don't want us wasting our time on something that if they know it's not going to pass, then we don't want to waste our time with it. They want us focusing on things that are likely to be able to really make a difference and, get something passed. That's my understanding.
I asked Marty today, Michael, the same question you just posed. Last year we basically sponsored 3 bills.
Right.
Right. And I was asking how many this year and what are they? Could I alert my region volunteers for Surge Day? Something to do prior to Surge Day. And he said, well, we're really not going to know probably until after a crossover date from the House to the Senate. Or I'm sorry, Senate to the House. And then I guess the crossover date that is reversed is much later in the session. So we may not know what they are specifically and how many they are until the latter part of February.
Right.
But
Now,
he does have, if you want to know, I would say call Marty. He sent me, in lieu of not being able to give me any definite information, he sent me a spreadsheet that he's put together that lists all the bills we would like for people to get active in. So I'm going to take a handful of those. I'm going to have to go look at them and see what they are. Some of them are duplicative. There's 2 or 3 or 4 in one area, that kind of thing. But it would be something that you could take and then pass out to your volunteers if you're working on them, or it may be your house district as well, and trying to get them to contact their representative or their senator.
Larry, if you would double check, make sure it's okay with him. If you would send that to everybody, that might be something that will help us to get people to go down for Surge Day. If they know here's a number of bills that we're looking at that we may be talking to our legislators about. And again, we can lobby our legislator on anything we want on our personal basis. We just can't say that COS is supporting this unless we know. But it's really, I think it helps people feel empowered to go to the State House and have a face-to-face meeting with their legislator and tell them what they think about stuff that's being voted on and considered in the legislature.
Now, we don't have a room on the 3rd floor. We're just going to be down at the end of a corridor. Probably could hold 100 people, according to Marty. But and we'll have a table or 2 or 3 there. But it won't be a confined room where you could put on a presentation of some sort or a PowerPoint or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a common opportunity to just get face to face with your legislator.
This is on the 10th?
10th of February.
Right. I've been to the legislators' so-called offices, and it's more like a cubby hole in a cubicle. I mean, they have tiny little space where they have a little, room for like a smaller desk than any of you are probably sitting at now. And there'll be 4 or 5 of them in an office, and they'll have one legislative assistant that works with all those people. So
that's the way it ought to be in the National Congress.
You're exactly right. So they don't, they actually brought 4 or 5 of us together, and, we were all wedged into this little area to have a conversation with a guy a couple of years ago. But really meeting them out in the hall in this open area is a perfectly, fine area to meet with them. And you can't always get invited to their so-called office, but they usually, if you want to meet with them, they don't invite you there. They come down to the public hallway, the public area, and meet you face to face. So, yeah.
Are we going to have name tags or anything?
Good
we
idea.
Don't encourage you to wear like a COS button or something like that. And we don't have any official name tags. You can make a tag with your name on it if you want. legislators, I think they have a tag on a lanyard or something that, gives them permission to go into the chamber when they meet. I can't even recall exactly what they had, but
He's going to try to put together a couple of tours as well for maybe the last hour that we're there.
That's pretty cool.
Give people a sense of where things are.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'd like to go in. I'd like to go in and watch them work.
yeah,
I've been
have
there
it.
exactly never.
Well,
You can get into the gallery.
Yeah, they showed on TV today on the news. They were going over the bill about transgender women and sports, and they had a bunch of them up in the peanut gallery, I guess you call it, up there at the top. It got pretty noisy and nasty. They had to leave, but that's a bill that's up right now that they're throwing back and forth. They had a bunch of people talking about it in chamber today.
Should be very obvious to everybody
right. Well,
what the answer.
the gallery, when they're in session, there is the possibility of going up and watching them. They don't spend that much time, I don't think, in session. When we were down there 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, they actually we all went into and sat at their desks in the legislative chamber.
Yeah, we were in
And
the
had a
Senate.
meeting in there. Yeah, were you there, Larry, for that one?
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. But they were in their offices and whatever, doing their other things, and so they let us use the chamber, which we had to obviously get permission for that.
Yeah, the pro tem gave us a brief, if you remember.
What's that?
The Senate Pro Tem Bray, I think's his last name. He gave us a briefing.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a cool thing to do. And yeah, it'll be a good experience for everybody that goes. I can tell you that. And also, if you have any, like one of these, I don't have it in my pocket. I think I've got one here in my desk. If you have, some massive pocket knife like this that you carry around, make sure you leave it at home, because you have to go through a metal detector and they'll take it away from you.
I got caught.
Yeah. So anyway.
And you can't just leave it outside. You got to take it back to your car.
Yeah, leave it in your car. If you did they let us bring cell phones in? I think they did. Yeah, cell phones you can bring, and laptops, things like that. But if you have anything that they designate as a weapon, they'll make you leave it in your car. So just a heads up to anybody that goes with you, so that they're not embarrassed when they try to get in. And
Yeah. Also, Gary, just a reminder to folks, it isn't formally posted yet, but there is that COS Summit October 6th through the 9th that people should be thinking about if they have any plans to go.
good
Where's
point.
that held, Dale?
Orlando, Florida, at the Rosen Center Hotel,
You say October 9th, Dale?
October 6th through the 9th.
Yeah, 6th and 9th. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So that'll be the like the first national gathering we've had for a couple of years, and probably there's a limited number of people that will be able to attend. So if you would like to attend, get your reservation in early, because they don't have an unlimited number of rooms. And I think
Yeah, so far, Gary, you can't even make a reservation or a registration. All you can do is post that you have an interest, and then they'll contact you when more information becomes available.
Where do you post that at?
It's like conventionofstates.com/Orlando.
Orlando.
yeah, there'll be more information coming about it. I
Yeah.
would really encourage all of you, if you can go to this. couple of years ago. We met in Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. Mark Levin was there. Senator Tom Coburn was there. I got a chance to meet him, and actually he sat down and had breakfast at the table I was sitting at, and great opportunity to meet other people. If you're on Slack on the national DC, you've probably seen a lot of people around the country on Slack that you might get a chance to meet them face to face there, and very worthwhile.
Yeah, I watched that Mark Meckler, that they had him on that one call, I don't know, a week or two ago. I watched that. I think he brought it up. I wrote down the dates for Orlando, but I didn't see.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't write down any place where you could sign up for it. So I'd like to go.
Yeah. Well, mark the date on your calendar, and as more information comes out, you can get your reservation in, etc. So, well, it's about a quarter till. If anybody else have anything else you want to chat about tonight?
I did have the conversation with Jill.
Okay, good.